You know what's worse than a woman ignoring you? A woman who replies every time but never reaches out first because that's the kind of behavior that keeps you stuck. Half hopeful, half anxious, fully confused, and every guy in the situation makes the same mistake. He focuses on the replies, not the silence. But silence is where the truth lives. When she consistently waits for you to initiate, she's telling you exactly how she sees you, just not in words. In this video, I'm breaking down 10 real reasons behind this pattern. From emotional uncertainty to low investment to hidden fears you've never considered. If you want clarity, real clarity, these 10 signs will show you exactly where you stand. There's something most people never talk about when it comes to texting dynamics. A woman's silence is rarely passive. It's intentional and it reveals far more than her replies ever do. But because men focus on the visible, the messages she sends back, they miss the deeper signal hiding in what she doesn't do. That's the part we're uncovering today. Before we go further, tap like and subscribe so you never miss these deeper insights. Let's start with the first clue that exposes what's really happening. Number one, she has too many options. You might think she's ignoring you, but the truth is simpler and honestly a little uncomfortable. She's drowning in attention. For an attractive woman today, her phone is a nonstop flood. DMs, reactions, texts, random compliments, and men trying every angle imaginable. It's not personal, it's volume. When a woman has that much incoming energy, she doesn't feel the need to initiate anything. She doesn't have the emotional bandwidth or the incentive to start a conversation when her screen already lights up all day without her lifting a finger. Picture this. She wakes up, rolls over, checks her phone, and there are already 6 new messages. By lunch, there are 10 more. After work, another wave shows up. Every guy wants something: validation, attention, access. And when you text her, you become one more notification in the pile. Not hated, not dismissed, just mixed into the noise. This is where most men misunderstand the situation. You think you're competing with one guy you've imagined in your head, but you're not. You're competing with the sheer surplus of choice, the reality that she doesn't have to work for connection because connection is constantly offered to her. And here's the hard truth. Silence from a woman with high social demand isn't rejection, it's prioritization. She responds to you because you're not irrelevant. But she doesn't text first because you're not yet high enough on the list for her to feel that spark of urgency. Now, before you assume this is the whole story, remember sometimes it isn't about the number of men around her. Sometimes it's about the way she feels about you. And that takes us to the next reason. Number 2, she's not sure how she feels about you. Not every woman avoids texting first because she's disinterested. Sometimes she's genuinely undecided, caught in that gray area where she doesn't dislike you, but she also doesn't feel enough to lean in. And when a woman sits in that emotional middle ground, her instinct is simple: respond but don't initiate. This is one of the most confusing dynamics for men because her behavior feels warm enough to give you hope, but distant enough to keep you guessing. You text her something thoughtful. She replies. You send a voice note. She reacts with a smile. You try to continue the conversation. She lets it fade. It's not coldness, it's hesitation. Women don't initiate when they're not emotionally convinced. For her to text first, she needs clarity, excitement, connection, a spark, something inside her saying, yes, I want more of this. If she hasn't felt that yet, she's not going to risk looking too eager. She's not going to put herself on the emotional front line. Imagine this scenario. You're consistent, you're polite, you're present. She appreciates the attention, so she keeps the door open, but she never nudges the door wider. Every response is safe, polite, controlled because she's still evaluating whether you're someone she wants to invest in or someone she just keeps around. And here's the truth most men don't want to admit. If she's not leaning in, she's not sold yet. Attraction isn't neutral. When a woman feels something real, her behavior shifts fast. But sometimes the issue isn't her uncertainty about you. Sometimes she actually likes you, just not through a screen. And that leads us to the next reason. Number 3, she likes you, but she doesn't like texting. This one often surprises men because we assume everyone in the modern world enjoys constant digital conversation. But some women don't. Some are wired for real presence, tone of voice, facial expressions, the energy of being in the same room. Texting feels flat to them, emotionally thin, like trying to build a connection through a keyhole. When she's that type of woman, she'll respond to you because she genuinely likes you, but she won't start the conversation because texting doesn't give her the emotional payoff she needs to feel close. She prefers the warmth of hearing your voice, the tension of sitting across from you, the comfort of real interaction. Text bubbles don't do much for her. Picture a woman who's warm, expressive, funny when you're with her in person. She leans in, she laughs, she plays with her hair, she makes eye contact, she's fully present. But the moment the interaction shifts to texting, she becomes minimalistic, not because the connection isn't there, but because the medium isn't. For her, texting isn't intimacy, it's obligation, and that subtle difference decides whether she initiates or not. This is where a lot of men make the wrong assumption. They take her weak texting habits as proof she's not interested. But the reality is, you're not boring. Texting is. The solution isn't to flood her inbox, it's to get her in environments where she actually connects. And sometimes her limited digital engagement isn't about preference at all. Sometimes it's because her life is too heavy for romantic texting to even make the list. Let's get into that next. Number 4, she has bigger priorities right now. Sometimes her silence has nothing to do with you at all. It's not about interest, attraction, or evaluation. It's about life being heavy. So heavy that romantic texting becomes the first thing she pushes off her emotional plate. Women don't multitask emotions the way men assume. When she's overwhelmed, she tightens her world and focuses on what's urgent, not what's pleasant. Maybe she's dealing with work, deadlines that eat up her mental bandwidth. Maybe a family situation is draining her. Maybe she's navigating personal stress that she hasn't told anyone about. When a woman is carrying that kind of internal load, she doesn't have the space to initiate conversations, even with someone she genuinely likes. Responding is easy. Initiating requires effort, and effort is something she might not have right now. Picture this. She's sitting in her car after a long day, exhausted. She sees your notification pop up. She reads it. She smiles. She answers, but that's all she can give. Not because she wants to keep you at arm's length, but because she's running on fumes. You're not being neglected. You're being deprioritized by circumstance, not emotion. And this is where you need to be careful. You are not her emotional crutch or her therapy text buddy. Support is good. Becoming her coping mechanism is not. Learn the difference, but there's a twist. Not every "I'm busy" story is real. Sometimes it's genuine overwhelm. Other times it's a polite disguise for something else. And that's exactly what the next reason is about. Number 5, she's busy, but you're also not a priority. There's a very real difference between a woman who's overwhelmed and a woman who's simply not prioritizing you. One is circumstantial, the other is intentional. And the hard part is, from the outside, both can look exactly the same. Slow replies, dry messages, conversations that die the moment you stop carrying them. But the meaning behind them couldn't be more different. A woman who's busy, yet genuinely interested, will find small ways to stay connected, sending quick updates, checking in, leaving a voice note, or showing you she cares even when she's low on energy. A woman who isn't prioritizing you. She won't do any of that. She'll answer only when it's convenient, and she won't ask you anything that requires emotional investment. Her messages become more like receipts than conversations. Proof, she responded, nothing more. Imagine a man who texts her consistently, thoughtful messages, light humor, small attempts to build a vibe. She replies every time, but the energy is flat. No follow-up questions, no spark, no curiosity, just enough engagement to keep things civil, but never enough to build something real. It feels like you're talking into a hallway that leads nowhere. Here's the truth. People make time for what they fear losing. If she wanted to keep you, she'd show effort. If she isn't showing effort, she isn't afraid of losing you. And while that can sting, it's also clarifying. It protects you from pouring attention into someone who already decided she's not choosing you. But before you assume her lack of initiative comes from indifference, there's another layer. Some women don't text first because they're deliberately keeping distance to maintain their perceived value. That brings us to the next reason. Number 6, she's playing inaccessible to raise her value. Some women are intentional about not being too available, not because they're manipulative or playing games, but because they understand consciously or subconsciously that the moment they become too accessible, many men start taking them for granted. So they keep a little distance. They respond, but they don't initiate. They show interest, but they don't chase. They let you come to them because it reinforces a dynamic where they feel protected, desired, and in control. Think of it like this: she's not ignoring you, she's curating her presence. She knows that in the early stages, availability affects perceived value. A woman who always texts first, always reaches out, always initiates, often ends up feeling like she's putting in more effort than the man. So instead, she chooses a strategy that keeps the emotional balance in her favor. Picture a woman who genuinely likes you. She laughs at your jokes. She flirts back. She enjoys being around you. But when it comes to texting first, she stays back. Not because she's shy and not because she's indifferent, but because she wants you to assume the role of the pursuer. She maintains that thin emotional distance to test consistency, stability, and clarity, qualities she cares about in a partner. And here's the no BS truth: if she is distant by design, it's not rejection, it's strategy. It's her way of managing the dynamic so she doesn't feel like she's giving more than she's receiving. But not every woman who doesn't text first is being strategic. Some aren't pulling back on purpose. They're simply relying on you because they've learned you'll always be the one to initiate. Which takes us to the next reason. Number 7, she doesn't text because she knows you will. Some women don't need to initiate anything because you've already trained them not to. You've been the one who reaches out first every time. You check in, you keep the conversation alive, you follow up when she disappears, you bridge every silence, you close every gap. And without realizing it, you've set a rhythm where she never has to take the lead. This isn't malice, it's human nature. When someone gets used to being pursued, they stop pursuing back. They settle into the dynamic you've built. She responds because she enjoys your presence, your attention, your consistency. But she doesn't initiate because she never had to. You do the work, she just receives it. Imagine this scenario: you decide to run a small experiment. You stop texting first. Not in a dramatic way, not in a passive-aggressive way, just calmly giving space. A day passes, nothing. 2 days, still nothing. A week, silence. Suddenly, that connection you thought she valued starts looking like something she only maintained when you carried the entire weight of it. And here's the truth: if she never initiates, try silence. It reveals everything. Effort is a mirror. If you pull back and she stays gone, it wasn't mutual in the first place. If she steps forward even a little, then you finally know where she stands. But not every woman who avoids initiating is comfortable being vulnerable. Some women hold back not because they expect you to do all the work, but because taking emotional initiative terrifies them. Which leads us to the next reason. Number 8, she's afraid of commitment. Some women don't initiate contact. Not because they don't like you, but because liking you is exactly what scares them. When a woman has been hurt before, betrayed, blindsided, abandoned, her instinct is to protect herself from ever feeling that vulnerable again. So she keeps a safe emotional distance. She responds, but she doesn't reach. She stays warm, but not open, present, but not invested. It's not that she doesn't want connection. It's that connection feels dangerous. Picture this: you're building momentum with her. Conversations flow. Chemistry is real. She seems genuinely engaged when you're together. But the moment things start feeling a little too close, she pulls back. Not dramatically, just subtly enough that you feel the shift. You text first, she replies. You suggest plans, she hesitates. You lean in. She takes half a step back. It's a push-pull dance she's mastered out of emotional survival. Women with commitment wounds often live in this in-between state, wanting affection, but fearing the consequences of letting someone in. Texting first requires vulnerability, risking rejection, risking being too much, risking emotional loss. Responding is safer, controlled, predictable. And this is where many men get confused. Her replies feel genuine. Her presence feels real, but her lack of initiation feels like rejection. It isn't. It's protection. Fear makes her respond, but never reach out. Still, you need to recognize something important. Fear only explains hesitation, not a complete lack of interest. Sometimes her silence isn't about wounds, it's about choice. And that brings us to the next reason. Number 9, she wants to keep things casual. There's a specific kind of woman who responds to you every time, stays polite, stays pleasant, but never initiates. Not because she's confused, not because she's scared, not because she's overwhelmed, but because she wants to keep the connection comfortably superficial, casual, low stakes, no expectations, no emotional weight. When a woman sees you as someone nice to talk to rather than someone she wants something real with, her effort will always match that category. She'll answer your messages because she has no reason not to. She'll be friendly because it costs her nothing, but she will not take the lead because taking the lead would signal interest she simply doesn't feel. Think of the dynamic this way. She places you in the safe guy zone, not the friend zone, not the romance zone, just the neutral space where she can enjoy the interaction without committing to anything. She likes the energy you bring, but she doesn't want the responsibility of deepening it. Picture this. You text her something sweet. She responds with a light, "Oh, thank you." You suggest meeting up. She says, "Maybe. Let's see." You try to create momentum. She gently slows it down. Every time you try to bring the connection into a more intentional direction, she quietly steers it back to neutral. Not cold, just contained. And here's the truth. Casual for her, emotional for you, dangerous for both. Because you'll keep investing, hoping it turns into more, while she's perfectly content keeping you at arm's length. But there's one reason even more direct than this. A reason that isn't wrapped in fear, strategy, or emotional boundaries. It's simple, it's blunt, and it's the one men avoid the most. And that leads us to the final reason. Number 10, she simply doesn't like you enough. This is the hardest truth to accept and the one most men try to escape. But sometimes the reason she never texts first is brutally simple. She's just not that into you. And instead of saying it outright, she keeps the interaction polite, controlled, and minimal. She responds because ignoring you feels rude. But she never initiates because she doesn't feel the pull, the curiosity, or the excitement that makes a woman reach out first. A lot of men read way too much into neutral behavior. Yeah, a sure, a sounds good, a single emoji, these aren't signs of interest. They're signs of basic courtesy. If her replies never deepen the conversation, never build momentum, never bring any emotional presence to the table, she isn't trying to connect, she's trying to maintain peace. Imagine a man staring at his phone, rereading a short reply, trying to decode tone out of 3 words that mean absolutely nothing. He convinces himself she's just busy or shy or overwhelmed. But the truth sits quietly beneath all of it. If she wanted to talk to you, you would know instantly. Effort reveals interest. Absence reveals truth. And here's the part that stings but ultimately frees you. A woman who genuinely likes you doesn't hesitate. She leans in. She initiates sometimes. She shows you through action that you matter. When that's missing, no amount of overthinking will create it. But don't let this truth discourage you. Let it redirect you. Her silence isn't punishment. It's guidance. It's pointing you away from someone who isn't choosing you and clearing space for someone who will. Now that you've seen all 10 reasons, it's time to bring everything together and talk about what all of this actually means for you moving forward. Now that you've walked through all 10 reasons, you can finally see what most men never realize. A woman's silence is never random. Women communicate through patterns, not just words, and the way she handles initiation or avoids it always reveals something about her emotional bandwidth, her priorities, her fears, or her level of interest in you. None of these reasons exist in a vacuum. They're psychological signals. And once you understand those signals, you stop chasing confusion and start recognizing truth. Some women don't text first because they're overwhelmed by attention, others because they're unsure how they feel. Some prefer real connection over digital exchanges. Others are carrying too much in their lives to initiate anything new. Some prioritize you without meaning to. Others do it deliberately. A few lean on strategy to maintain their value. Some rely on you because they've learned you'll always initiate. Others are afraid to step closer because love once hurt them. And yes, sometimes she just doesn't like you enough. These patterns aren't meant to discourage you, they're meant to liberate you. Because once you understand why she behaves this way, you stop taking everything so personally. You stop interpreting every delayed reply as a crisis. You stop clinging to conversations that go nowhere. Silence stops being a threat and becomes what it truly is: information. And that's the mindset shift that changes everything. Don't chase someone who can't meet you halfway. Don't negotiate with mixed signals. Don't try to fix a woman who's not choosing you. You deserve reciprocity, the kind that feels natural, not forced, steady, not one-sided, mutual, not imagined. You deserve to be with someone who chooses you without hesitation. If this video helped you see things more clearly, take a moment to support the channel. Hit subscribe, tap like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me which reason hit you the hardest, or whether you've dealt with someone who made you second guess everything. Your story might be exactly what another man needs to hear.